Welcome to LifeLONG, where practical health meets real life and we work through our struggles together, my friends, companions, and allies on the journey. I'm Ethan Suplee, and I'm happy you're joining us on this Monday, the first Monday of the new year, as we settle into the week. Today, we're talking with Dr. Spencer Nadolsky, somebody I've known for years since he was the head of medicine. I met him at a company called Renaissance Periodization. Then he was the head of medicine at Weight Watchers. Now he has a new radical company called Vineyard. Check out Vineyard. And we're going to be talking to him today about exercise, nutrition, and medicine. Before we jump in, just a couple of quick notes. To join the show live, go to twoway.tv/Ethan Suplee. Register once, and you're good to go anytime we're live. And if you're watching on YouTube, please drop us a comment. Spencer, welcome to LifeLong. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks as always for having me on your shows.
Of course, I have a bit of a conspiracy theory I want to go over with you today.
I want to hear it. We're
Okay,
gonna we're gonna do it.
I I always or for many years thought of January 1st as the busiest day of the year in the gym. And January 1st I went to the gym and it was empty.
Yeah,
And then
same with me.
I thought, okay, maybe people went out, hit the booze a little too hard, and they're going to wait until the first Monday, which was today, the 5th. And I went back to the gym today, also empty.
Yeah,
And my conspiracy theory, my mind, my tinfoil hat immediately jumped to has have the GLP-1 medicines ruined or done away with the gym resolution? And I want to know if you have thoughts on that.
yeah, I agree. Anecdotally, I've noticed this. Obviously, I was with Weight Watchers before, and they have this thing they call it peak season and whatever. And same kind of thing. If I don't have to. It's probably public information, so I don't want to give insider. But it was like, I haven't been there for over a year, but you can look at their quarterly earnings. But yeah, things like not as many people all of a sudden signing up for that type of stuff at the beginning of the year. And I noticed it too. I noticed it last year and this year. And I believe the reason is because, hey, I don't have to wait for a resolution to get going. I can just start these medicines throughout the whole year. We noticed we had a bunch of signups for our program, uh, New Year, pretty much New Year's Day. But honestly, I think that's because of new insurance changes and people have insurance that now covers it. There's new medicine that it's cheaper now. I don't know, lots of different things. But I notice it too in the gym. I think people are just kind of sick of like, all right, another year, like 5 days in the gym and then stopping. Whereas like I'm getting people into the gym like throughout the whole year now. So I don't know. I think you're right though. That was my thoughts.
I mean, it was that I was like, what else could it be? Every
Yeah.
other year for I've been going to the gym for a long time, and every other year,
hmm
beginning of January is packed, and it's
It
been
was it was
crickets.
barren.
Yeah. So okay, with all that said, I think of the GLP-1 medicines as a tool, as a really powerful, like maybe nuclear grade tool in battling obesity, but I don't think of it as the whole game. And I do, and I think like, I personally think exercise is really important, but from your perspective as a doctor who deals with people medically, how important is exercise in your opinion?
Yeah, look, okay, so I'll say from aesthetically, you're not going to achieve this dream body without it. I mean, you can lose weight, obviously, with the GLP-1 medicines, but most of my patients have some picture in their mind of what they want to look like, and they have some weight number in their mind. And a lot of times they don't, not everybody, and I give everybody a weightlifting program. I try to push it, but not everybody wants to do it. So ultimately, a lot of those patients that don't do it get down to this goal weight of theirs, and they go, you know what? I'm not, I don't, I look better, but this isn't what I was looking for. And sometimes I have to get them to gain weight and then start lifting weights. And they're like, this is the look I was looking for. I mean, you're the one that did all the biking a few years ago, lost a ton of weight. And now I believe you're heavier now, but you are much more physically fit appearing.
Yeah,
Um,
I got down to under 220 riding bikes and was truly unhappy with my physique. And then I started lifting weights, and today I was 255
yeah.
and under 15% body fat. And I was hovering around 13, 14% body fat riding a bike. So I put on and I was really riding bikes in 2010. So it was now 16 years ago.
Wow.
But and to be honest with you, I did the craziest bulk of all time. I got back up to 400 pounds
Huh.
and then slowly took it off. So I
Amazing.
don't think any of that is the way it should be done, but I went through the steps unknowingly.
Yeah. So, aesthetically, the drugs aren't going like you're going to look a lot better if you lose a lot of weight, regardless. But there's this optimal look that people are looking for that you won't get without the medicine. There are drugs they're looking at that basically block the governor of our muscle growth, the myostatin. But even still, you're still going to have to lift weights and shape your muscle in a certain way and build the muscle in a way that you want. You'll gain some muscle with these drugs if they ever come out. I'm skeptical about them, but
Well, okay, this leads me to another thought because a lot of the people who knock these drugs knock them because of lean tissue and muscle
yeah.
loss. And I know personally, I experienced lean tissue wasting I didn't actually start literally tracking it until I was doing keto, but I was losing 40% lean tissue muscle the entire time I was doing keto. So there was this idea I had, like, I'm eating meat, I'm not going to lose muscle. That was just not the case. And now when I hear people talking about you'll lose 40% lean tissue on this, in my non-medical opinion, I think that's any diet.
Yeah, the numbers are very similar. There is the semaglutide, which is Wegovy, what everybody's talking about, this new oral Wegovy that which just came out too. And there it looked like, it's close to 40% with that one. Now it's fat-free mass, that's not all muscle. A lot of it I think is actually fluid changes. So if you do a DEXA scan, fluid glycogen will look like lean fat-free mass. It doesn't have fat in it. So if you lose that fluid or fluid is drawn out in a certain way, it'll look like you lost lean mass, but it's just fluid. Tirzepatide, the most powerful FDA approved one, it's not the retatrutide that everybody talks about. It's not FDA approved yet, but Tirzepatide specifically, that one gets around like 25% fat-free mass loss. Semaglutide's 39, 38, 39%, but it's all kind of gravy in there. And we're the ones with our clinic, we're doing studies on the people that eat enough protein and lifting hard. And we have patients that don't lose anything and in fact gain while doing it. So muscle specifically and fat-free mass. So I honestly I think I don't want to. I never shame people if they don't want to lift weights. Like I have a Docs Who Lift podcast. I'm like obsessed with it myself. But thinking in what we call gatekeeping the medicine, if you don't do it, that's what some people are like. If you don't lift weights, I'm not prescribing this to you. It's like, well, come on, they're going to get healthier anyway. You're going to
Right.
protect them from heart attacks and whatever. But like, yeah, we want you to lift weights, and ideally you would. But some fat-free mass loss is not. It's not going to be the end of the world.
And as far as this compared to just about any other diet, if
Yeah.
you weren't taking this and just reduced your calories to an equal amount, wouldn't you be also losing
It's
lean
it
tissue?
it should be pretty much the same. Yeah.
Right. So nothing about the drug is stimulating muscle loss.
There's nothing about the drug that's specifically catabolic to muscle.
Right.
That's in fact there are some things about it that they think maybe it actually has some benefits in the quality of the muscle. They can't say for sure. They see the fat when they do these MRIs, they see fat coming out of the muscle and things like that, but there's nothing specifically catabolic about them.
Okay. Okay, great. Well, another question I have that you are my favorite meme doctor. Your
Yeah.
memes are my absolute favorite of all the doctors. I love your memes the most. And so I want to ask you about all the stuff that I see on social media that are the
Yeah.
big places people are butting heads. The
Perfect.
next one is how much of obesity is truly out of a person's control versus a matter of choice. I see this all the time, just that people are making a decision every day to be fat or to gain weight. Um, it didn't feel like that when I was 500 plus pounds. It didn't feel like I chose my way into that, but I do feel like I chose my way out of it, which seems counterintuitive to what I just said, but that was my experience. As a
Yep.
doctor, where do you fall in this debate?
Yeah. I mean, like you have the firsthand experience, but thinking most people are on are subconsciously just going through life passively and not thinking about fitness. And by the time many people do think about it and go, oh gosh, I better do something about it, their body's fighting back against them hard. And sometimes people that try to do something about it, it almost paradoxically makes it harder with the obsession about it. It's like, don't think about the XYZ, and all of a sudden that's all you could think about.
Right.
But most people go through life like passively. Oh, this looks good. I'm going to eat that. I'm going to eat whatever my parents fed me in front of me. Oh, my friends and colleagues are going out to eat. I'm just gonna do that. Well, and maybe they start thinking I should be a little bit more health conscious, but they're just going through life. They're following the stream. And genetics, people are like, no, it's not genetics. Genetics haven't changed in the past, whatever, 50 years, however many years we want to say was when we saw the kind of big boom. I don't know, but I'm an 80s kid, so and you're similar time frame. But yeah, you didn't. You still saw kids that were a little bit bigger and a little bit not. Obviously, you had weight struggles when you're younger,
I
but
grew up in the 80s and I was overweight. I will say I felt very much more alone in the 80s. Like there weren't a lot of other fat
yeah.
kids. But I was overweight, so I wasn't,
So so it did happen, but not to the degree. So the genetics are always there, and so you have these varying degrees of people how much they weigh. And now with this environment, I mean, like to me, it's just like anything and everything you can think of. The food is the biggest thing, but think about the technology. I can go on my phone and literally order my favorite food with a thumb, and it shows up at my door. I don't have to go anywhere. It just shows up. So obviously the genetics were kind of there, and you saw people have varying degrees of body fatness, and then the environment just shifted it all the way over. So now there's a much exaggerated variation of people. So people that are really thin now, if they were going to be thin back then, the people that have a lot of weight right now, they were still heavier if you transported them back then. It's just not nearly to the degree that we see now. So regarding being a choice, it's just people are going through life passively.
right,
And the genetics can push them in one degree in terms of appetite, and then you combine that with an environment that we're surrounded with just super yummy, easily overeaten foods that are high in calories and low in satiating content, and that's a recipe for gaining a lot of weight. So once people gain the weight, it's really hard for them to lose the weight due to the brain changes that happen that make it miserable. So the fact that I mean, like you're such an anomaly in terms of like medically speaking. Like it just doesn't. Most people that get up to the weight that you're at, most of them are going to need bariatric surgery. You do see it once in a while. You see them online, and it's not very common. So most people aren't choosing to have it in the first place. They passively got there. Then they can choose to try to fight it,
yeah,
and then some people like you are successful, but a lot of people, unfortunately, just it's are going to struggle. It's like telling people somebody to if they're so hungry all the time to just think about, hey, just breathe fewer times in a minute.
right,
You can kind of think about it, but then eventually your body just regulates. So in terms of appetite, people are like all you have to do is eat in a calorie deficit. It's like, yeah, no, that's the principle. But in order to do that, how are you going to fight that appetite? Like me personally, my body like wants me to be a beanpole. I had to I was a heavyweight wrestler in college, but I was 145 pounds as a freshman in high school. I had to force feed myself to get up to a heavyweight in high school for wrestling and football. And even in wrestling, like I got up to 267 pounds, and I was just like, after eating pizzas, like miserable. And at the end of the season, it's like I couldn't even keep on the weight. And now I'm like 210. And so you think about the genetics, like my body wants me to be thin. And other
Yeah.
people, my patients, it's like you can just tell. I'm zapping them with drugs and trying to help form their diet. They exercise more than I do, and you can just tell that their bodies want them to be heavier. So I don't like to call it a choice. I do think if in order you want to lose weight and get in good shape, you have to make that choice. Nobody's going to do it for you. Nobody's
So
going to put in the effort.
it's a choice to get out, and then it's hard work. And then,
Yeah,
I was thinking about this both on, I think it was Thursday the first and today, going into the gym because like the data really, and you said this, the data really shows what an uphill battle it is, man. And so many people can lose some weight, but then resoundingly just the averages gain it back.
yeah.
Um, and yet you see year after year until this year, the gym is jam-packed on January 1st, which I always got a little energy from. I got a kick. Like I'm rooting for everybody showing up on January 1st. I want that kind of newbie energy of people with determination and goals and stuff. And I was sad not to see it. And then I got to Fetus and I was like, yeah, well, why keep doing this if it's like basically a losing prospect, you know?
Yeah, that's why to me, these GLP-1 medicines, I think they're giving people hope throughout the year, and more people are starting to join gyms throughout the year. And I had a patient today so excited they did their first chin up,
Wow.
and so like I mean maybe I'm a selection bias, of course. I'm online talking about lifting, eating, and using these medicines all together, so I see this stuff. But like I think that now it's not, all right, wait till the new year. It's like, no, I got some hope now. I'm going to start figuring this out. And most people don't even believe that the medicines are going to be, because they've tried and done so many different things in the past. They always, once they lose a lot of weight and they're like, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to keep this off even with the medicine. I'm like, no, that's what it does. And now they feel like they can finally do it and they can finally start exercising. And so I think that's why people are doing high rocks. I've never done it, but it's like all sorts of these fitness challenge things that I'm like, whoa, things that they've never even thought about doing before because they just had so much pain in their joints from all the weight.
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing. Like I think that the weight loss opens the door to exercise, which I do know that I feel better every time I go to the gym. And then I have read compelling data that suggests that simply exercising is super health benefit.
I need to do it. I can't. I get so antsy if I don't do it. My chief operating officer, my partner in crime at Vineyard, if I'm grumpy, she's like, you haven't been to the gym yet, have you? I'm like, no. She's like, please call me afterwards. And I'm just like, I know. I got to do it. And then that's what's cool with my patients that start getting into it. I can tell they get the same way. They're like, oh my God, I got to go. Because it changes everything. So medically speaking, exercise, like there's no drug that can do what it does. Even if we get these muscle building drugs, there's so many other benefits that go beyond just the muscle building effect. So, but you got to put in the effort. It's like the one thing, like people can starve themselves, but like putting in the effort for the gym, it's not,
It's
it's,
unrivaled.
yeah.
Yeah, you can lose weight, great. You'll get a boon to your health. Um, you can eat better, and you might get a boon to your health if you cut out some processed foods and eat more whole foods and nutrition. Get a little more nutrition in your diet. Um, but like exercise for me has been the game changer in just how I live my day-to-day life for sure.
You've killed it.
All right, time for our first things first. I want to play a clip from Nutrition Made Simple about the importance of fiber, and then I've got a question for you, Dr. Spencer.
Perfect.
The best bet is to have a diverse diet, not just eating 30 apples a day and nothing else. Yeah, you're going to get a substantial amount of fiber, but you want to get diversity as well. So the bottom line is that fiber is not strictly essential. You can survive without it, at least short term, medium term, but it's optimal. It's optimal for most people given its beneficial health effects.
All right. I've been reading a lot of lists about what's in and what's out for 2026. And I've seen on multiple lists now, protein's out, fiber is in. And I do think like 2025 might be the year of protein. It's in water, it's in, I've got donuts in my house right now that have protein or that are, mostly protein. It's in everything. So 2025 was the year of protein, fine. It's in everything. Do you think it's out? And how important is fiber?
Yeah, it's funny. I made a video like the number one nutrient you have to get for if you're taking a GLP-1 medicine, and everybody thought it was going to be protein. And it was fiber, and the reason is it's just underrated. I'm not going to say protein's overrated, but like you know what? There's so many people out there claiming protein is the way to reduce your risk of muscle loss. It's resistance training. It's not even close. We've
Right.
had tons of studies looking at this. The protein's a distant second. It's not even it's not even close. It's not even iota close. So resistance training is good for the retention of muscle and minimizing the muscle loss. I think fiber, there are a lot of other things with that come with the fiber containing foods. So like fruits and vegetables. Like, yeah, we like protein's good for satiety and muscle retention, but it's not the fiber is really filling. Lots of other things that go along with it, but the foods that it comes packaged in are probably the most important because you could get psyllium husk or Metamucil, whatever fiber supplement you want to get, but you're not going to get the benefits of all those other things that come with the foods that it's packaged in. Maybe 2026 will be the year of
The
fiber.
fiber. But you're saying something important here because like I do consume whey protein just about every day.
I do
And I
too.
think of that as a pretty good source of protein.
Yeah,
Um, but like the majority of the protein that I get, and I am a protein forward guy simply because I find it easier to fill up on that than I do on carbs. But like when I'm heavy into vegetables and fruits, those are even easier to fill up on than protein. So that's a good choice. But if people just move to, high fiber tortillas or, there is a brand that makes pretty
yeah,
damn good high fiber tortillas or psyllium husks, that's not as optimal as fruits and vegetables.
probably not. I mean, you'd have to. There are no long-term randomized controlled trials looking at the rates of death and cardiovascular outcomes because that's what we really want to know. Uh, you're going to still get LDL cholesterol reductions with psyllium husk and fiber supplements. In fact, that's probably the way you're going to get it the most. But like, there, again, hypothesis generating, I don't think you're going to get the same benefits as you're getting all these nutrient-packed fibrous foods. But if you have to get it in somewhere, you supplement, it's fine. I mean, like protein, same thing. I have to start with a protein because if I eat fibrous foods, I probably won't get enough protein.
Right.
And I'm trying not to be a complete beanpole over here.
Right. Yeah, yeah. If you just eat cabbage and salad and foods like that, it is a really easy way to fill up.
Yeah, it
I
is.
I think it's a pretty good diet scheme too, to go super high fiber and high protein, like
Hmm.
those two things in conjunction, which again, like I've talked to people, you've introduced me to people, in fact, who are on GLP-1s who have lost weight but haven't lost as much weight as they've wanted. And I think then it takes an intervention like, okay, I'm going to switch up my diet a bit. I'm going to increase fiber, increase protein, decrease fats and carbs a little bit.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, I mean the GLP-1s, if people respond to them, it's like ridiculous. But sometimes people really have to put in a lot more effort than some of the others that are taking it to get the effects that they want.
Yeah. And then again, it's a tool, a useful tool, a
That's right.
magical seeming tool, but still just a tool.
That's right.
Well, Dr. Spencer, sorry, Dr. Nadolsky, you're such a good buddy of
Whatever.
mine.
Either way
So,
works.
yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. And before we say goodbye, remind people where they can find you and follow your work.
Yeah, Instagram, Dr. Spencer Nadolsky. You can do Docs Who Lift podcasts. It's me and my brother. He's an endocrinologist, weight loss doctor. And then my clinic is joinvineyard.com. If you want to get your own dietitian with a good doctor who lifts and looking into these medicines for your health.
Thank you, Doc. Good talking to you. Happy New Year.
Good to see you.
All right. See you later.
Bye.
All right. Now we are on to callers, but before we do that, we received this clip in our suggestion box at Ethan Suplee Show at twoway.tv. This was emailed from Steve Marsh in St. Paul, Minnesota. Trace, please roll the clip.
It's a really strange position to have to tell people, it's not the poison in your water. It's not the fact that mega food corporations are like, oh man, if we just get everyone obese, then ... profit. I don't know how that works. It's the fact that when you go to the store and you're feeling like eating something tasty, you don't give a shit and you buy the stuff that's tasty. And someone's like, what about the calories? And you're like, One of the big things that many people have been looking for in obesity and in health is one external cause to fucking just blame. Like seed oils, artificial sweeteners, additives, big pharmas somewhere in there with their top hats and their canes doing something bad to children. I don't know. And if we can just blame this one thing and remove it, we can still eat whatever we want. We can just not have an exercise routine. We can not take care of our sleep health and all that Andrew Huberman shit. And because we've excised this one external factor, these aliens come down to Earth and they do the scanning of our water. They're like, oh, you guys have hydrochloropeptide in here. And they get it out and everyone's like, whoop, they just get healthy and awesome. Hair grows back. The reality is the vast majority of the reason why people who become obese haven't reduced their obesity is the giving a factor is just real low. People just don't care enough. And it's so weird to say because you're blaming the victim. I don't know if there's any victims in obesity because Cheetos are not a gun with the smoke coming out. You're also holding the gun. That's kind of weird. But
it's an interesting take too, because I think it goes in conjunction with what Dr. Nadolsky was saying, that it's not necessarily a choice, but you kind of have to make an active choice to get out of it. And I have been hearing over and over, I was listening to an interview today that basically made the landscape that we find ourselves in of food the culprit for obesity. And maybe that's true, but I kind of say that when I find myself in a landscape, that wishing the landscape would go away does not make it go away. I kind of have to deal with it as I find it. Trace, how do you navigate this kind of thing? You are a healthy guy. You are a fit, healthy guy.
I think about food all the time.
Dude, what's your weak link? What if you had your druthers?
There's a lot of weak links, but I would say that we were just talking to Spencer about roughage, essentially something that my parents used to talk a lot about, fiber and roughage. We talked about that a lot. And then you were mentioning just putting a salad in a baked potato. I was like, it just reminded me of that right then. I thought in that moment in my mind, I was like, I could eat that. I mean, depending on what dressing you put on, it might not be a low caloric meal, like a bunch of blue cheese dressing. That lettuce is just whatever. I can just go through that.
Right. It's a utensil to get the blue cheese into your mouth.
Really, I mean, the beauty of iceberg lettuce is, right, that you could just put a cup of any kind of dressing you want in there. So,
when I go to the steakhouse, I will tell you one of my, I guess it's a cheat. I don't know. One of my cheats is the wedge. I ask them to chop it because I can't be bothered with wasting the effort to actually cut it up. And I go with the vinaigrette and the blue cheese.
I've done that many times in my life too. I like the wedge. The wedge is solid because iceberg is so, I mean, I think this is getting off track a little bit. If you're worried about getting your nutrients from the lettuce, that's the only place you're getting nutrients is
right.
Whatever. It's like you might be in trouble anyway. So the iceberg doesn't really matter to me. But I used to hang out with a guy all the time who would always order Italian dressing and blue cheese. Always. That was his whole.
Yeah, they go together really, really well, unfortunately. And then you're doubling up on your dressing, which is the highest caloric part of the salad.
For sure. I know I see people eating salads sometimes, and I was like, you might be better off eating a hamburger.
Okay, so when these food cravings come over you, What do you do?
Well, I'm pretty good. We grew up in a family just eating everything, so I like root vegetables and beans and things like that. So if I'm hungry, I can just eat a bunch of beans and some rice and use tortillas and things like that. I mean, I've been lucky. I've been thin my whole life. And I don't really get sugar candy cravings because I do find they make you go up and down. Now, I have drunk a lot of alcohol in my life, which is essentially the same thing, but I just like dense food. So I've always liked if you were to put a bunch of cauliflower broccoli in front of me, I would plow through it.
Yeah.
Plow. I mean, even if it was prepared right, I would have it rather than Cheetos. And Cheetos are pretty goddamn delicious. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And I think they sneak MSG into Cheetos. I could be wrong. I hope Cheetos doesn't sue me for saying that. I know they sneak it into Doritos, and MSG makes everything taste better.
I use MSG cooking all the time. Don't
Yeah.
tell. Yeah.
It's like magic. It's gotten a lot of knocks, they say that you can get a flu from it. I don't think that's been proven to be scientifically true, but they have shown that it decreases satiety. So
Mhm.
things with MSG
Okay.
actually fight your body's sense of fullness. And that is scientifically proven. So that if you're trying to diet and watch your weight, it's not smart to eat things with MSG in them.
You remember when I was a kid, they used to sell Accent. It was called Accent, and it'd be on the spice aisle. It was like a white can with Accent. It was just essentially MSG.
Yeah.
Sometimes I use it because some cooks are like, oh, you should be putting in this anytime you're cooking meat, put a little MSG in there. It'll make it taste a little better. Now, I didn't know that it's just making me eat more.
Well, no, but no, I think there's two mechanisms there. It makes it magically delicious, like beyond what salt can do. Um, and it tells your body you're not full. So it does have like the flavor is actually enhanced.
Yeah, amazing. I sometimes think about if I'm cooking at home and I'm just making some, I'll just keep tasting things. And I'm like, well, maybe an extra skosh of this or a little more of this, or maybe some MSG or some salt or some whatever, some oregano or something. And I just keep tasting so much. I've eaten like 3 servings of here just getting the taste right.
Yeah. I have a kid, one of my kids right now is like, I'm doing a whole health plan for January. I'm going to do just protein and veggies and be super forward. And it's day 4. And today she was eating chicken breast and vegetables that I cooked for her. And she was like, I can't, it's so, and I actually think based on this conversation, I'm going to start spiking her food with MSG just so she can eat it.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. So we had a question in a real specific question about what kind of protein drinks do you like? I think that was the exact wording, you know?
I like protein drinks a lot. I am weary of plant-based protein drinks because the the calculation I go by is that I believe it's the FDA suggests that you get 50 grams of protein per day. So based on that, whatever the grams of protein in a thing that you're eating should be, it will then have the percentage of protein. And if it's a high quality protein, it should be based on that. So like if you're eating if the drink says it has 25 grams of protein, then it should say 50% of your daily allotment. And a lot of the plant-based protein drinks, it'll be much, much lower. So it'll say you're going to get 25 grams of protein, but you're only getting 16% of your daily allotment. And that means that the protein is not. So this is a long story to say I like whey protein the best. So anything with whey protein in it, that's where I like to drink my protein. And there's the guy who made the clip, he actually has a liquid protein called Genius Shot. And it's like one of those 5-hour energy drink bottles. It's a small thing. You can take it on an airplane. It's 3 ounces and you can get 23 grams of protein in that, and it's all high quality whey protein. Those are great in a pinch. I have a protein powder. American Glutton makes a whey protein powder that's really good. There's Rise. If you have a real sweet tooth, Rise makes a Skippy peanut butter protein powder that's fantastic. So you can make yourself a beverage, and it doesn't have to have anything else in it. I mix mine with water and drink that right before I go to the gym.
I
That's
do
where I get.
like milk, though. I still like milk. As kids, my father was a dentist, so we never had any soda pops,
Right.
but we would just have gallons of milk. And let me tell you that my brothers and I, in Texas, it's hot growing up, and we would just play and play and play. We would just come in and drink milk by the gallons. I don't know. My mom must have had so much milk. We'd chug like a quart of milk at a time, endlessly.
Whole
Yeah,
milk?
whole milk. They didn't even have diet milk really when I was a kid.
I love that you called it diet milk.
But I just recently did notice, I don't know how things sneak up on you sometimes, that non-fat milk has just as much protein as whole milk.
Yeah, and it's got carbs. Non-fat milk honestly could be considered like a weird energy drink. It's got carbs and protein, and it's low in fat.
Does it have more sugar in it?
I don't think they add sugar, but milk naturally has carbohydrates, and when you pull the fat out of it and keep the volume the same, it just goes up in carbs and protein. I don't think they're adding sugar though.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's what I just meant, that it had more, because I kind of vacillate between drinking whole milk or just having non-fat milk, you know, but I can really drink a lot of it.
Yeah, listen, I can put away some milk too. I have to be real careful when I'm drinking milk.
I know. I look at it and think, especially when I saw some non-fat milk in my fridge, I was like, this is completely harmless. And I was like, I just drank a half gallon of non-fat milk in about 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's fine. The fat, but this is my preference. My preference is towards fatty foods.
Yeah.
I will eat cheese before I'll eat candy.
Yeah, me too.
Um, and so that's where I'm the most careful, like I was so scared of carbohydrates for so long, but when I reintroduced them into my diet without fat, I found I had a real hard time getting them down. Like bread without butter is not fun for me.
Mhm.
Um, Rice without butter or oil is not fun. Dry pasta is not super fun.
Yeah.
But if you get the oil and the fat in there, I can overeat it. And I understand other people have a different issue where they're more geared towards carbohydrates. But so yeah, like I have to be weary of stuff like full fat milk because I'll just guzzle it.
Yeah, me too. It's delicious. I love it. When people ask, you're still drinking milk? I was like, yeah. But
Well, yeah, is milk out? Is milk on the naughty list? Is milk out in 2026?
you do hear sometimes that like milk is for baby cows.
Right.
I mean that whole thing that like you should not be drinking milk or whatever.
Yeah, I did hear, not directly from anybody who had tried it, but it was like a game of telephone where when it got to me, I was like, that can't be true. That bodybuilders will buy human milk on the black market because it's so perfectly geared towards protein muscle synthesis. I did hear that.
I'm sure some have tried it. I mean, there's opportunities, right? I mean, if you play your cards right.
Totally.
Let's see, what else do we have going
So we
on?
have a question from Joe in the chat. I think she had a couple follow-ups about maybe a conversation you guys had earlier regarding, or sorry, not from earlier, but about post-loss surgery recovery. If we can bring Joe on.
Yeah.
Hey, Ethan. Nice
Hi,
to see you
Joe.
again.
Nice to see you too. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. The outfit that I was wearing last time I saw you almost doesn't fit me anymore. So
That's
thanks for all the
incredible.
help.
Absolutely.
I am feeling very self-conscious though, as you did also. And when I was up with you in Chicago, I wanted to ask you, but distracted by the grandkids running around. I wanted to talk to you about your post-loss surgery. And like
Skin
your
removal.
skin removal, yes,
Yeah.
because I'm kind of feeling nervous that that might be the path that I'm going to go down. I have joined the gym and have been swimming 1,000 yards in an hour a day.
That's incredible.
And yeah, so I was just curious if you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So skin is an organ. It's the largest organ in the human body. I'm going to get all the sciencey stuff out of the way just to make sure we're working with facts here. And I was not prepared when I lost weight. I just, wasn't thinking of skin as anything other than part of the fat casing that I had on my body. And so I kept waiting for my skin to go away like the fat was going away, and it didn't.
Right.
And And then I started looking, and this was not, this was maybe 2004, 2005. And it wasn't, there was no social media back then with like, there's a great guy on Instagram named Obese to Beast who lost a ton of weight and wears his excess skin with pride. I didn't have people like him that I could look at. I just thought, this skin's got to go away as I lose weight. And as it didn't, I started to look for alternatives to get it to go away, like red light therapy and mineral wraps and oils and lotions and potions and treatments like that, none of which made the skin go down at all. And finally, somebody said, you're going to have it cut out. And I will honestly say, Joe, that at the time that I was told that, I felt like it was just another bit of how I was damaged as a person, how my body was not doing what it was supposed to do. I'd lost all this weight, which I was somewhat pleased with, but it wasn't, my body, I felt disfigured, honestly.
Right.
Um, Skin is not really going anywhere. Once it's stretched out for a long enough period of time, it grows to that size so that it can accommodate being stretched again.
Right.
There is a point where it can't stretch anymore, and so it has to grow to that size. Once it grows to that size, it's not going to shrink. It can become more elastic. There's certainly ways to do that, but even that isn't going to compensate for us people who are really big.
Right.
And so you got to get it cut off. And that's something I did. And I will tell you, every step of the way, I felt that I felt that getting it cut off was cheating. I felt that it was just a, a problem that was solely impacting me, that it was my disfigurement that nobody else had. Um, I had all these terrible mixed up feelings about my excess skin. And then when I had the surgery, I was very anxious and didn't follow the doctor's instructions. I feel like I did all of the skin loss, skin removal surgery wrong. Every step of the way, I did it wrong. I was
Okay.
anxious. I didn't pay attention to what the doctor said. I fell over at one point and tore my side open. It was like disaster after disaster. So when I talk to people about it, my suggestion that I wish I had done. I wish I had maintained my weight loss longer. That's the
Okay.
first thing. And then I wish I had gotten really zen and really thorough about what recovery was going to be like, how long it really takes to recover, how long you have to sit still, how you have to be like okay with not moving. And I know after having just lost a bunch of weight, I was super nervous about gaining weight again by not moving, by not being active.
Right.
And I wish I had gotten to a better place mentally with all of that before I'd done it. And I wish I'd been okay with like feeling like it's not cheating because it's not. There's nothing else you can do about it.
Right. I've just been hoping that in the more laps I do, maybe it'll get firmer.
It might a little bit, but like, I don't know, Joe, exactly how much excess skin you're talking about. I had a billowing fold of skin coming off my abdomen. I had billowing folds off my breasts. I had a flap on my back. I
Mm,
have still, like, I can pull my skin on my legs today and make fists out of the amount of skin I have.
that's how my legs are going to be. It's my legs and my abdomen mostly.
That's not so firming up a little bit, maybe, but not to the point where it's taut.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's that it's such a tricky pill to swallow because like I got really into this unfortunate idea of like, gosh, maybe being fat was better if there's no alternative to this other than surgery, which I really didn't want to do.
Right.
Maybe just being fat is better because at least the skin will have a reason to be that big,
Right.
which I did gain weight and I was like, no, this is not, I'm not happier with this. I'd rather have the skin,
Yeah.
you know?
How
But yeah,
long was the recovery time?
I was told basically not to leave my house for 6 to 8 weeks.
Whoa, okay.
And after, a week and a half, I like demanded to be taken to a movie. Now that's not the end of the world, but I shouldn't have done that. And then I was up and walking around and I got on a plane after 2 weeks and I should not, I did everything absolutely wrong.
Right.
And that was because I went into it really anxious. I went into it with a lot of shame and regret and guilt about what I was doing. And I think if I did it today, it would be much different because I've had years now to process this. And so, for people like you and I who have massive weight to lose, and we do lose a massive amount of weight,
Yeah.
we're gonna most likely be stuck with some excess skin. And, we can either get really into wearing that as a badge of honor or cut it off. And if we cut it off, we should, spend enough time in that size that we know we're not going to regain the weight right away because that's
Right, absolutely.
and then get really zen with the idea of sitting still for a couple of months.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right.
Thank
Thanks.
you, Joe. I
I'll
appreciate
see you on the road.
Yes, ma'am. It's a really important question, Trace, because it is such a big part of massive weight loss. If anybody has really a lot of weight to lose, and look, you know, the fact that the gyms were empty in the beginning of the year for me and for other people, for Dr. Nadolsky, and I talked to my buddy Jordan Graham, who we've had on this show in California. He also said his gym was empty. Like, this isn't I think this is an unusual thing. I think a lot of people are hopping on these GLP-1s. I think a lot of people are gonna lose a lot of weight, which I think is great. And so we're going to have a lot of people wanting these skin reduction surgeries. And it's got to be talked about because this was one of the many aspects of weight loss that felt like a monumental disappointment to me. I've lost 100 pounds and I still don't look at all like I wanted to. Like I had this idea in my head of what I was going to look like, and it never came. And to be honest with you, it never comes. Like you got to constantly work at that sort of thing, you know?
I remember, well, the GLP-1s at the gym never would have crossed my mind, but I can totally see that. The holidays probably a great time to start thinking about it. You're going to set a new course for the new year, and if you're making some progress and things like that, I would think that it's probably a great idea not to have to spend that much time in the gym. But as Spencer said, resistance training is really one of the keys. You got to really keep on that, and it'll be helpful. But it was Jordan who said, and this excess skin thing was something I had never really thought about till we started talking to him about. Like it just never crossed my mind. And I think it was Jordan, right? He said he tried to bulk up his muscles enough to refill the skin.
Yeah.
And oh wow, man. That's
Yeah.
wild.
And when you do the math on that, it's just impossible. Muscle is 2 times denser than fat. So you'd have to actually weigh twice as much as you did to actually get to the point where your skin is taut. Like it's not possible.
That would be bananas. Well, we
Yeah.
had a pretty good question here from Josh. It's like, he asks, curious how you deal with expectations of weight loss. As I've gotten older, the weight comes off slower and slower, and it's hard to keep momentum. Just like, how do you keep the impetus and the expectations?
I've gotten to the point where I did a number of real crash diets in the early 2000s. Super, super low calorie, 500 calories a day, where I'm basically like on the verge of blacking out every time I stand up, basically cold the entire time you're on the diet. Even though I was overweight, I'm just chilly, even on hot days, because my thermogenesis is thermodynamics in my body are not operating at 100%. And every time I lost weight fast, I gained it back every single time. And so it took me 15 years to really get in the mind frame that a pound and a half of fat loss a week is about what is right for me. And if I'm trying to beat that and trying to outrace my metabolism and I'm going to lose a ton of lean tissue and the weight's going to come back. It's going to build and build. The stress on my nervous system, the stress on my endocrine system is going to get so much that I'm going to basically have no thoughts other than food. I'm going to be hyper obsessed with food. And when the wheels come off my diet, they're going to come off hard and I'm going to gain it all back. And I'm not going to gain back any of the lean tissue. I'm only going to gain back fat. And like it just became not worth it to do that. I did that cycle over and over and over again. Look, if people are jumping on these GLP-1s for short periods of times, even if it's a year, which is a relatively short period, if you've got 200 pounds to lose, a year is not that much time. If you're an adult and it took you, 30 years to put on all your excess weight and you want to take it all off in a year, that's real fast. And then you hop off the GLP-1, you're more than likely going to gain the weight back. And you'll have substituted all your lean tissue now for fat. And it's like that whole paradigm was no longer worth it to me. I had done all these crash diets. I gained the weight back over and over and over again. And I had to just get cool with it taking a long time. And so, slow and steady wins the race. And this way, you can let diet fatigue build up slowly. Then you take a diet break and you just maintain your weight. And you're not, the other thing I had to realize is if I wanted to keep the weight off, I could never go back to eating the way I had, which was also kind of a hidden goal, a hidden standard that I had deep in the recesses of my mind was like, if I just lose 300 pounds, I can eat however I want. I can eat my anxieties away. I can eat to comfort myself. No such luck, it turns out, because that kind of eating will result in me gaining the weight back. And once I start eating like that, it's really hard to put the genie back in the bottle. So getting okay with it taking a long time and being slow and being a lifelong pursuit was really the only way I managed to do it. And I'm still here kicking, 8 years later. I've basically been this weight for 8 years. And it's not so hard. It's not a grind. I had a slice of pizza New Year's Eve. I had two. I had two slices of pizza. I went to Joe's Pizza. I had two slices of pizza. It was great. Now, there's part of me that wanted to eat the rest of the large pizza, but I can't do that. That's no longer in the realm of what I can and can't do, and so be it. I don't get to eat the whole pizza, but I had two slices, you know?
I remember one time when fasting a couple of years ago kind of came back full tilt, and we would do it some real sort of periodic fasting. And I did realize that you'd be really hungry, and then sometimes you would eat food, it would just taste so good, like something real. So there's a lot of people who are fasting and then eating a bunch of crap, like a pound of bacon or something like that. There was also the ability to eat just something really simple, some simple vegetables or something, and it just tasted so good that
Yeah.
you're also thinking, okay, I want food to always taste like this. So maybe I should be pushing myself hard like this, keep myself kind of eating in this realm where the food is delicious. And I'm not just, thinking about the next bite while I'm chewing that first bite of pizza, where I'm just like shoveling pizza into my mouth, which is
Right.
because I think we're all guilty of that. I mean, the idea of even kind of just buying one slice of pizza sometimes to me is still something I have to really wrap my head around. It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
one slice is going to be enough. If you need another one, give it a few minutes and you can have it. But to not buy two or three slices at a time seems like, oh, what I'm going to wait in this line and just buy this.
Right. What are we even doing here? If we're not eating ourselves silly. No, but the prior to New Year's Eve, the last slice of pizza I had was your recommendation over in Brooklyn. What was that place called?
The F&F guys.
The F&F guys, and that pizza was extraordinary. That was some of the best pizza I'd ever had. And I got two slices because I'm bigger than you, so I get to eat two slices, not just one. But I would, if I was left to my own devices, eat an entire pizza. And there's like 8 slices in a pizza. So I'm only eating a fourth of it or a little bit less. I don't know. My math is off. But yeah, like occasionally if I'm allowed to have that, that's fine, but it's not going back to baseline. It's not going back to, at the end of the night, I'm not ordering a pizza to sit alone in my house and eat the whole thing. And by the way, the last slice never tastes as good as the first slice. You're just getting it down.
Totally. You get competitive with yourself sometimes. You're just like, oh yeah, I've got to eat one more. And yeah, it's hard. It's tricky.
I mean, and there's all kinds of rationalizations. Like, I don't want to throw away food, but I'm not going to put one slice in the fridge. So I'm going to turn into the trash can at that point.
I would say
Um,
what's interesting here is like before we go to the Daily Nudge is that I had recently seen Serena Williams on TV talking quite a bit about these commercials. And I was like, wow, this seems really impressive of her talking about GLP-1. So maybe you can.
all right. Well, here we go with the Daily Nudge. And this week it comes from Serena Williams herself. I really think a champion is defined not by their wins, but by how they can recover when they fail. Sorry, I didn't read that right, Trace. I'm going to just give it a whole other shot. I really think a champion is defined not by their wins, but by how they recover when they fall. Every day I try to learn, improve, and push my limits, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Serena Williams isn't just a prodigy on the court, she's a lifelong student of her own potential, showing us that staying at your best means combining hard work, curiosity, and the willingness to adapt, even at the top. Today, that includes using tools like GLP-1 medicines to support her health, proving that learning, experimenting, and seeking help are all part of pushing your limits safely and sustainably. Before we go, a couple quick reminders. You can send questions to Ethan Suplee Show at twoway.tv. If you'd rather send a video question, email it. We promise we'll try and get it on the show. In closing, remember, paths to better health paths to better health rarely begin with a flash of insight. Start where you are, try things, adjust as you go, and do small things each day. Progress comes to those willing to move forward without guarantee. That's all for this week, and remember, health is lifelong. It is built, not born.